Ladies and gentlemen, how are you all doing? This is Con over coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 Fight Night. I decided to bring you guys something a little bit different today. This is the OKW forces of Luvnest in the north, wearing the blue trunks, and down here in the south is the USF forces of HOI Paul AD. Now, anybody who has watched the competitive, the top tier players for quite a while knows that these guys are big names. And as you can see, Paul right here says he just wants an easy game, just have a little bit of fun, which is kind of great because honestly, it's a very non-meta game. I mean, you're not going to see a quick rush to a Panzer II. You're not going to see this. You're not going to see that. You see guys just having a good time. And you can see that happening already with Paul already locking in the mechanized company. And in my mind, the mechanized company is one of the weaker commanders for the USF. I mean, I could be completely wrong on that one, but for me, it's one of the weaker ones. But for Luvnest, in the meantime, while he's going out to cap points and bringing out that Kubelwagen, he was bringing along Scavenge Doctrine, as well as Special Operations, as well as Luftwaffe ground forces. So you can kind of see he's got a good mix of call-ins, and definitely a lot of interesting material to bring towards this match. But okay, like I said already, though, we do see that these Sturmpiles over here in the north are definitely just kind of capping out regularly. We do see the Volksgrenadiers kind of backing them up, going to pick up this strategic point as both players go for their fuel. And we do see that this Kubelwagen is starting to shift forward, and my guess is just going to pick up the strategic point right here and just establish themselves in a very standard map cap strategy. Surprisingly enough, we do see that the Volksgrenadiers are just going to kind of hustle up here instead to pick up the fuel. And the Sturmpiles are going to retreat towards the back. Maybe that's to kind of allow the riflemen to run into the Volksgrenadiers first, as opposed to the Pios, which are going to be considerably weaker in a mid to long range fight. Kubelwagen is already going for that frustration decap over here on the eastern side, even as actually as the Americans do call in a military truck. I don't even know what to call this regularly because, frankly, I don't see it very often. But this thing is quite interesting. What is that actually made out of? I couldn't even tell you. No. Nah, I couldn't even tell where it comes from. I guess that's just like the calling from right here. So, you can see 50 cal machine gun on here just starts laying waste to these German squads. They might even actually drop this Volksgrenadiers on retreat. Then again, with these Volks kind of moving up, it does actually one interesting thing to note that Luvnest is already doing very effectively is that your troops default to the nearest active military enemy unit. That is to say, if there are two people, two different squads, and one's retreating and one's not, they will default to attacking the one that is attacking, that has the potential to attack back. It does lead to some very interesting interactions sometimes, let's say. And we do see that these actually, surprisingly enough, that the Sturmpios were able to do enough damage to force away this 50 cal truck. And even that Kubelwagen has decapped and stolen that fuel point for himself. And because of that early fuel rush, we are going to see a quick tech up to a tier 2 building. My guess is probably going to be, actually with a 33 fuel, it might be interesting. Maybe he's going to go for a mechanized regiment. He doesn't take in that much in the way of losses necessarily. We see a Schumann over here go up in the north at this fuel point. It'll be definitely going to hit soon by some manner of American forces. And we're also going to note that there is a very much soon going to come out at least a 2 cap and probably a trip cap as these Volksgrenadiers do kind of take down this God house in the center part of the map. And already we are seeing these riflemen kind of push back over here. And as we see him, is he deploying yet? He is not yet deploying. These Volksgrenadiers are going to get pushed away by all those riflemen. And we see a second Schumann going down over here. We're actually seeing mines all over the place, and we are going to see this vehicle crew kind of hop out and start to be a little more useful than their truck might suggest. They've repaired it now, though, so that 50 cal is up and running again, which is going to be a big issue for Luvnest forces, especially since that thing can just crush cover, as you can see right here. And these guys are still a wee bit away from actually getting to any kind of combat package. And yes, it actually is going to be a mechanized regiment, so we are going to see a Panzer II play coming out of Luvnest. And at the same time, looking over here to the north, these riflemen apparently have hit that one mine and it's completely and totally probably even wiped out a squad. Just look at the number of bodies on the ground. Good gosh. 3 at least, probably more, but they do see a couple of the Sturmpiles were taken down in the meantime. But while that is all going on, this truck is actually trying to rotate north to kind of support and maybe even take on this Kubelwagen, which should be able to do pretty quickly. And good gosh, that thing's got a combat blitz. That thing is so fast. like I said, I've barely ever seen this thing, so, you know, step on it, good gosh, I think it's zooming right now. We are also going to see a half-track come in, as well as the Assault Engineer Squad. Kind of an interesting, like I said, an interesting call-in, all things considered. And the Germans are not going to have a whole lot to really kind of combat this. Not until that Panzer II comes out, and that is still a couple of fuel away, as you can see, of course. Oh no, not even a fuel away. It's actually just the manpower that's kind of holding them back. But in the meantime, what is going on? That second Mon is still in play. And although these Volksgrenadiers are very, very valiantly trying to hold on, they are also going to get forced back. And I can't help but imagine that there's a... Yep, there comes that Panzer Strike now, finally. But they might drop a squad on retreat, which could be quite a deadly thing for them. Yes, they do. There goes that squad. The Panzer II is going to come out eventually. But they really need to watch out, because one Panzer Strike hit might actually be able to take out that half-track, and it comes out just too late. Barely just too late. But at the same time, though, while they do have this half-track as well as a 50 cal machine gun coming out, that Panzer II is going to kind of wipe the floor with both of them. And right now, Paul doesn't have a whole lot to really kind of fight back. He's not going for anything but the ammo, and he hasn't researched anti-tank grenades. So that's going to come back very, very quickly to bite him in the rear end. And we are going to see that this vehicle crew has hopped out of the 50 cal again. But over here to the east, we do see that these rear echelons had attempted to come up here to seize this strategic point, but that's not going to go very well for them. So they are forced away rather quickly. But already now we do see that Panzer II coming in and has this. There's no Mon up here to the north, so this Kubelwagen is just going to duel with these riflemen for a couple seconds before the Panzer II comes in on a retreat path. Just looking to cut him off, and might be able to do a fair amount of health damage to him, if not drop at least 2 or 3 models. As light tanks go, the Panzer II is quite beastly, if I can say so myself. But Luvnest is going to be depending rather heavily on that... oh, here's the anti-tank grenades coming out now, finally. But this Panzer II is going to be very, very important to kind of keep in Luvnest in this game. He has now only taken back one of the fuels from Paul, and the northern one is still not in his control. He's only kind of capping it right now with his Kubelwagen. Do you see that the Storm Piles come up here to kind of repair the Panzer II, which is kind of good for it because, you know, it's a very, very happy camper when its armor is now been buffed and shined and painted. We do see that Luvnest, of course, has gone for Special Operations Doctrine, as well as his engineers picking up that Minesweeper. And so, oh no, we actually might even see a quick dive for this ambo, and that could be not a devastating loss, but quite a beastly hit. He's going to ignore the hits, it seems, from that captain. And I'm not entirely sure why he's just not going to, unload a little bit more on that ambo, but, you know, he's going to be backed away by that captain. He's already picked up 1-star veterancy, just kind of by shellacking that Panzer II. But the Panzer II is accomplishing what it needs to. While most of Paul's forces move over here to the east, Luvnest has now successfully captured pretty much the rest of the map, has his fuel back in place, so he's getting 32 fuel per minute, and he has completely and totally cut Paul's fuel into a very, very steep decline. And I didn't even realize, actually, the squad that got wiped was the Panzer Strike squad. So now as the steward's going to come in as well, we have 3 light vehicles over here for Paul, and all Luvnest really has is this rather plucky Panzer II. And now over Kettenwerfer to kind of fight away some of them. That said, army sizes are rather similar. 500 to 373, we are going to finally see this 2-to-1 cap get broken. And unfortunately, this Panzer II kind of backed away by this very, very aggressive rifleman and captain play. Unfortunately for those riflemen, they cannot stand up to the firepower that is that Panzer II, and they're going to pay for their temerity rather quickly. Even more so when the captain wastes its bazooka rounds on the infantry. And here comes a assault grenade to kind of push them all out of cover, and unfortunately, while it doesn't do a whole lot, it does force them away, and is now going to allow the Panzer II to kind of swing out here and pick on those poor riflemen in the garrison. But here comes that Stuart on the field, which means that Panzer II needs to watch out quite a bit. But with the Kettenwerfer right here at the same time, that thing is going to take at least 2 hits, if not all 3. Oof, so the main gun gets picked off already, and now with that thing with no main gun, it probably been interesting to see if that Panzer II is just going to dive in and go for the kill. Instead, he decides to start picking on these riflemen instead. And while Luvnest is severely hammered, he's now also lost his Strompios. His level of dominance on the field is surprisingly good. I don't mean that pejoratively, but it's surprisingly good. I mean, he's been down in infantry pretty much the entire map, and yet he still controls at least 50% of it. Now, I'm going to take a quick look at the strategic map. We are going to see there's a rifleman squad going for a deep decap. Just looking to hobble that fuel income by quite a bit. And these assault engineers are unfortunately going to make a very, very poor decision about moving forward, and you're going to drop a model pretty much absolutely no gain. And now we also do see that Panzer II has taken out this garrison right here, so the Americans are getting only very limited use out of it moving forwards. And with a 2-to-1 cap yet again, we are going to see Paul continue to lose tickets. And you know what happens when you don't have tickets? You get thrown out of a Zeppelin. That's a little bit of an old joke. If anybody gets that one or that reference, please let me know. We are going to see this captain move over here to the western side, though, kind of be just enough, let's say, insurance to force back any kind of militarism by the Panzer II. And right now, it does seem like Luvnest is going to be quite hurt as fuel income goes. So yes, we do see a battle group headquarters finally come down for him, kind of heal up some of his squads. Probably a good idea considering how much his veteran squads have been getting wrecked. And right now, only needs one final Panzer Strike shot. That Stuart's being very, very... Oh, wow. He gets away just in time. And we're also going to see pretty much a mass retreat coming out of Luvnest's forces. A wise decision under the circumstances. That captain is going to make mincemeat out of that Panzer II if he doesn't watch out. And with a very, very, not low health, but 2/3 health, it's definitely could be quite a big pain. We are going to see the Kupelwagen kind of dive in and kind of do a couple frustration caps, but this Stuart's going to chase it off if not kill it altogether. And I would imagine that it's actually, yep, it's going to die. And here goes the brave Kupelwagen. He's going to race out of here, but with the destroyed engine, he's not going anywhere. And he just kind of buys it, the poor dear. Which now leaves the Luvnest in quite a unique situation. Outnumbered in pretty much every metric. I did miss, by the way, the part where the, there's 2 Stuarts? No. There's 2 Stuarts on the field. I did not even realize that. Forgive me, guys. I've been so wrapped up on watching this Panzer II. And just all the action going on right now. Especially with oh yeah, there is a second Stuart in there. I didn't even realize that. My apologies, guys, but that second Stuart is definitely going to make life a little bit more interesting already for a kind of abused German position. We are going to notice that the Stuart's going to dive in, and the Rakettenwerfer is also going to try to kind of play monkey in the middle with his 2 Stuarts, and take one shot already, takes the main gun. Oof, and he even manages to take it out. How impressive is that? So he despite getting pressed quite a bit, Luvnest immediately takes out one of the Stuarts and bring the army size back to even parity. At the same time, he basically forces the other Stuart away. Yes, he has definitely given up the field. But to think about what he traded for a momentary loss of position, I mean, look, 439 to 357, he's up 80 tickets right now, and even though it's a trip cap, he should be able to kind of take back a fair amount of this position with a very, very active play, at least in the southern part of the field. And even with the way that the troops are right now, you have to admit that the forces, veterancy-wise, are fairly equal. I mean, not in terms of perhaps relative across the entire side, but if you want to look at like Luvnest troops over here, he's got 1 squad, of course, of Volksgrenadiers, 2 actually, in fact, that have absolutely no veterancy, but he's got 1 at 4 already, another 1 at 2, his Panzer II is at 2, and his Rakettenwerfer definitely deserves every bit of that 1-star veterancy that it does have. I am surprised, I guess it's still on cooldown, so while he's not able to chuck grenades, and he's getting forced away by that Stuart, with luck he'll be okay. We're not entirely sure, but we are going to see we're actually going to see these Volksgrenadiers trying to scavenge materials out of this Stuart, and we're going to see the Stuart come up and just kind of give a pesky little FU shot to the Stuart wreck to push it away. And guys, it is just combat left, right, and center all over the place. This is what you tend to see behind top-tier players like this. We are going to see this Captain River kind of try to creep forward a little bit for a sneaky shot or two on this Stuart. And while this Panzertruck squad is just being entertained, let's say, by this captain, we are going to see the Stuart back away, even in spite of that. Just with one Panzerschreck, apparently enough to kind of intimidate them quite a bit. We do see Lieutenant come out at the same time for Paul. He's kind of coming up, just going to start laying into him with his BARs. And I admit, you know, if we're having a non-meta game, it still seems to be becoming kind of meta-ish. Maybe not entirely. I mean, you definitely could be having Luvnest pushing a lot more to go to the next tech level, teching out the entire way, putting his, his Schwerpanzer headquarters near the crossroads, kind of, not on this side necessarily, kind of have a shot blocker on one side, but be able to press back the Stuart and even the captain by quite a bit. We are also going to see a lot of BARs coming out for these rifleman squads, which is going to make an already uphill battle for those Volksgrenadiers even harder, but higher too. An uphill battle and then some. We already see 50 cal at the same time moving out over here in the center of the map, which is going to be kind of an issue for those German troops. We're just going to see Luvnest again and again bash his head right in the middle of the map. Not entirely sure why he's doing that. He's one of those guys that you can definitely kind of slide around to other sides of the map. There's other parts of the world, my son. Please, go there. But his ferocious defense is going to be more than enough to kind of back off those American troops, even though he's basically been pressed back into his own base. And guys, just for the record, you got to check out, look how high the fuel income is for Paul. 51 fuel a minute on a two-player map. That's pretty beastly. I am surprised to see, are we teching up the entire way? Yes, we are finally teching up to that. Oh no, we're not. We're getting that machine gun instead. I was thinking we are going to tech up to the major, but no, we're just staying over here and being a little bit more goofy. Of course, that Stuart's going to start lighting up on that Panzer II, but then the Kappenwerfer says, "Hey, buddy, I missed you." And that Stuart does back away rather quickly. What do we have over here in the north, though? We finally do see that the strategic point is going back over to Luvnest, which is only about time. As, of course, you've seen already, and I've been saying this in pretty much this entire map. If you look at the map right now, it kind of bleeds quite a darn bit. It's like, just take a second to kind of absorb that while I take a drink real quick. Let me actually drop back in. I still haven't gotten that drink. I was kind of readjusting my headset for a second, guys. I was a little uncomfortable. It's been a long day. Actually, we are going to see this captain is going to try to protect his little buddy, the lieutenant, even though the Panzer II just kind of comes back in, just keeps ducking in and out, dipping and dodging. It's like Muhammad Ali, may he rest in peace. He's just floating like a butterfly and stinging like a tank.
Krauts are taking one of our points.
At the same time, we are going to notice that these American forces are clumping up again. While they usually see a Shrek blob coming out, we are going to see instead is a rifle blob. Not so much a rifle spam. Actually, no, we see infantry galore all over the place. We see a very, very aggressive captain coming out over here. The on me is going to kind of rush forward. He's got supervisors, all this kind of good stuff. But that he's not going to be able to catch up to that Panzer II, and if he moves any closer, he's going to get picked on by that flak emplacement, which will shred him. But yikes, 284 to 347. Luvnest has surrendered his primary position and then some by quite a bit. And although he holds the center part of the map, I imagine it's going to change pretty quickly as soon as this 50 cal comes up one more time. But yes. We do see both caps coming back over here to Paul. It could be a trip cap over for his forces. And until these Volksgrenadiers get something else to back them up, they're just going to continue to get chased off the field again and again and again. Because BARs as well as those M1s are just going to tear bloody holes into their poor, defenseless little bodies. But okay, the 50 cal setting up at the same time is going to be quite the little boggart for those German forces. And I wonder, can I actually suppress a unit in camouflage? I guess the answer to that is no. I've always been kind of curious about that. But the Panzer II charges forward yet again to kind of encourage, let's say, the Stuart to chase him. Oh no, we do see that it actually can get pinned. I actually never knew that a anti-tank gun can get pinned in camouflage, but apparently it is just opened up once in that Stuart and then immediately got pinned right after that. The Panzer II is up to 4 stars right now, and that Volk squads are getting dropped left, right, and center, unfortunately. So, like I said already, it definitely a much more of a goofy game from both players. No one really going for that top tier material, but you can still learn quite a lot from the micro that is coming on from both sides. Maybe not so much the build orders. You're going to see both these anti-tank guns probably getting picked up pretty quickly. And that is actually not going to happen just yet. I'm surprised it hasn't taken more damage from all the material being flying at them right now. But we are going to see maybe at some point, maybe the command tank? No, 225 fuel. We have another minute of wait time, so maybe too long before they can get to it. What we are going to see, however, is these rear echelons have somehow managed to get bazookas because I picked them up back at the CP. And with those minesweepers, they're definitely much more of like a little surprise kind of maneuver. But okay, so the Panzer II comes back over here in the middle side, but these folks are not going to have any easier of a time.
Enemy forces are now down to 200 points.
But yes, the fun side of Company of Heroes. When top tier takes a break from being serious. Yes. What I might do is speed things up just a tiny bit in the hopes we are going to see that Panzer Command Tank. There we go. So we have a big tank coming on the field, a big cat. Not a huge one, but a big cat nonetheless. It could be interesting to see whether or not this thing actually does go and change the course of this map.
Now available for action.
I think I'd be completely and totally amused if this Panzer comes in and suddenly everything just comes right back into place for Luvnest. I will say that Paul has not invested at all in the 6-pounder anti-tank guns at all, but he does have enough bazookas. He should be able to be rather, not completely okay, but at least moderately so. At the same time, this Panzer is just going to sit over here and start lofting shots over here at these rather aggressively placed riflemen. No, this captain's going to come in at the same time to kind of fire at this. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why he was doing that either. To fire at this Panzer II, which is now fully vetted up, by the way. Seems a little bit silly. Just a might. And foolishly, these rear echelons think that a bazooka can penetrate any sort of frontal armor on a big cat. It says, no, Kitty got claws and Kitty got a nice big armor in the meantime. And so we are going to see him chase off that 50 cal machine gun and threaten, just maybe, to take back one of these VPs. Probably going to see an anti-tank grenade coming out from Paul. Maybe a little bit of a spam from that one. Punk. And it does nothing. Or did he get suppressed before that? I don't know if it didn't have any effect, or if he just got suppressed before it happened. But that suppression is just beastly. Oh yeah, forget 5-star vet, Panzer II, by the way, ungodly thing. If you are a Panzer II that gets to to a 5-star vet, you might as well just be like, hey bro, GG. Your infantry is now worthless. Like, enjoy. And we're gonna see this convoy moving up over here, and watch this Panzer II come in and just start suppressing the ever-living bejesus out of things. See, not even a full spray, and he's already got squads suppressed and or pinned. Not the captain so much. The captain's got a little more resistance to suppression than his compatriots. But if that Panzer II moves in at all, we are going to see those guys take quite the mean wallop. And nevertheless, 50 cal is controlling the middle, so while Luvnest is taking points away from Paul, and I'm surprised to see that this Panzer II has not been rushing forward, especially to pick on this clump of troops right here. Even with the captain right there, and the threat of rifle grenades, it'd be easier to kind of just pick on this 57 mil before it gets into position. See, right now, if I can take 2 shots, 3 shots to take out that Panzer II, it's definitely not what you want to see. Good gosh, a long-range set of bazookas come out and take out that 5-star Panzer II. That's all. I'll just have a moment of silence for that, our fallen brother. I said a moment of silence, my friends. Come on. They do take out the Rakettenwerfer over here, and with the addition of all these bazookas, this Panther is being forced away quite quickly. I can imagine that Luvnest is either going to just tap out pretty soon, or he's just going to say, thanks for like a nice little kind of goof around game, and kind of go from there. But nevertheless, it is kind of interesting to see how top-tier players do kind of goof around. You see them playing these extremely tight games all the time. And for example, I'm surprised we actually haven't seen any sort of 155 or arty barrage on the home base, especially with the shot blockers and terrain separated completely from the various forces. But okay. What do we have going on in the meantime? We are going to see that this Panzer is just going to dive forward again. I think it's just like a little bit of a fun FU moment. He's taking rear shots over here from the bazookas. You can see the thing's already down to half health. And although this stolen Rakettenwerfer might get picked off, that... Oh, no, it doesn't. Never mind, folks. There's 155 Arty Barrage. There it comes, right over here in the middle. And this poor infantry squad has managed to steal a 50 cal, but he drops about 300 manpower worth of material in the meantime. So one must kind of wonder exactly how intelligent that might have been to retreat at that moment. But okay, a trip cap is still going on. We might even see... Nope, we're not going to see anything else from that. We're going to see these Panzerschrecks over here just kind of be annoying to the steward. Ooh, but that Panzerschreck misses at the last second. That's not what you want to see. But these BARs come in to kind of clean up the mess. Putting those white Nikes to the test for those Germans. If I can see them back away in just a second. There we go, they back away. And that is going to be pretty much all she wrote, guys. I'm just going to speed this up to kind of let the final little moves play out. It's a ×2. And a bazooka or two gets dropped, which is not going to mean too much for the moment, even with that steward on the field. Oh, yeah. So, you know, another Panzer II coming out, but it's not really going to do a whole lot. It's probably just going to perish almost immediately. And we're going to see it again that this trip cap's going to go right back into play, or at least a dual cap with no 2-to-1 at all. As you see right now, it's going to just plummet, and that's going to be the end of it, guys. So, thank you so much for actually joining me for this very non-meta game. I know it's very, different, let's say, from what you guys might be used to for some of these higher top-tier players. But at the same time, you got to realize that it's kind of good to kind of cut loose. So I invite you guys for yourselves. Don't always take your games too seriously. Every now and again, just have a fun game. Just have a fun game. You know, if you want to do a custom game, it's not ranked, just something like that, go for it. Just have a good time. Nevertheless, thank you so much for joining me for this particular game. If you have a game you want me to check out, please let me know in the comments below with a link to the game, or send me a message and we'll figure out a way for you to get it to me. If you like what you see here, though, please like, comment, and subscribe, and feel free to come back for more videos, as well as evolving material with this new computer system. Thank you so much for all the support you give this channel, and I will see you all next time. This is Connell Work signing off. Take it easy.